Hello, thanks for stopping by. If you have a WordPress website and you get an error like this, it can be really frustrating and confusing trying to figure out what the problem is. You can't see your website, you can't log into it, all you get is this page with this very vague error. There has been a critical error on this website. You can click on this Learn More About Troubleshooting WordPress. There is a lot of good information here, and you may eventually figure out what the issue is, but there's a faster way to do this. The first thing you want to do is go to your file manager. So the hosting plan I'm using uses a software called cPanel to manage all of my website files. Now, if you're not using cPanel, that's fine, as long as you can get to your website files is really all that you need. So I'm going to go to my file manager, and I'm in my file manager, and I'm going into the coffeeshop.weblify.com folder, which is the website in question. And I'm going to scroll down until I find a file. It's in alphabetical order, I believe, that says wp-config.php. This is the file we're going to make an edit to. You want to be very careful with this file because it basically lets your website load, and if you make any errors, your website's not going to load or may not load correctly. So before you make any edits to this file, you'll want to make a copy of it. There is a copy here, but this copy was made in 2024. And I'm now in 2025, so I'm going to go ahead and make another copy out of an abundance of caution, because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? So let's go ahead and make that copy. I'm going to call it WP config copy, right? Keep it simple. Okay. So now we have a copy of the file I just made today, and now we can go ahead and make our changes. So I'm going to go in and edit that file. So now we're in our config file, and you just want to scroll down until you find a line of code that says define WP debug. If it's set to false, which it would be because we can't see the error, you want to change this to true. You may see two lines of code here, one that says debug, WP debug, and another one that says WP debug display. If it's set to true, you're fine, but if it's set to false, always want to use lowercase letters. If it's set to false, make sure you change it to true, because if you have both lines and the display is set to false, it won't display the error to the screen. But you don't have to have both, and if you don't have this line, you can go ahead and add it. Just make sure you don't add it below this line that says that's all, stop editing. Never add anything below this line. Anywhere above, you're usually fine. So now that we've set this to true, we can go ahead and save this file and go back to our website, and the page should be up now. So let's go back to our website. So we're back to our website. I'm going to refresh the page, and what do you know? Now we're seeing where the error is actually coming from and what's causing the error. In this case, it's looking for a file that's not there. It says no such file or directory. But what you really want to focus on, there's a little bit of information here, is this highlighted line right here, because this is the path to the actual problem. So you notice it says coffeeshop.weblify.com, which is our website, and then it goes to a folder, WP content, that goes to another folder called plugins. So right away we know the problem has to do with one of our plugins. And inside the plugins folder, there's another folder called contact form -7. And inside that contact form folder, there's a file called wp-contactform7.php, and on line 72 there says there's a problem. Now we're not going to fix the problem, but what we're going to do is we want to get our site back up. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this file that's called contact form-7. And what that's going to do is once we rename this folder, WordPress will not be able to find that folder. Therefore, it cannot run into this error and our site should come back up. So let's do this. Let's do that. Let's go back to our file manager. So we're back in our file manager. And if you recall, the path to the folder was in WP content, inside plugins, and it's this folder right here, this plugin that's causing us the issue. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to rename that folder. Save it. Now that WordPress can't find this folder anymore because it's looking for contact form 7, not contact form 7-off. So it's not going to be able to find this plugin. Therefore, it should not be able to produce that error. So we're back at our website. Let's refresh the page. And what do you know? Our site's back up now. Now you can go to the back end, to your plugins, and you can see here that contact form 7 is no longer active, right? Because if it were active, this would say deactivate and not activate, and it'd be highlighted in blue. So now that your site is back up, you can either contact the developer of this plugin, and they may be able to assist you in figuring out what the problem is, or you can simply find another contact form that's not going to throw that error. Hope this was helpful. We'll see you next time. Thanks.